Microphones are currently commonplace in concerts and have been ever since people could record concerts. They are essential from basements to festivals. Microphones are in need in concerts. But what did people do before microphones? How did microphones change concerts, and how did microphones change music? To answer this question, we need to understand what concerts were before microphones. Concerts started to become a mainstay in culture ever since the Roman and Greek times. Romans would play music for weddings and funerals. From here out, more and more concerts would happen, though they were a challenge without microphones. In the 17th to 18th century, music was tailored to the places they would be played at. Choral music, or singing, would be at churches that could reverberate the singers' voices, meaning they didn't have to be loud. Symphonic music was played in concert halls, meaning it needed to be loud to ensure the audience would hear it. Chamber music was played in entire places, such as homes, meaning projection wasn't that much of an issue. So when does the microphone get made? The history of the microphone is very, very messy. The initial idea for a microphone was crudely made by Antonio Meucci in 1845. He was the first to figure out how to send sound waves through electricity, interestingly, through his work of electrotherapy. The next development came from Alexander Graham Bell. He made the first microphone that was able to be understood by people. The only problem was that it wasn't available for musical commercial use, but now it gets more complicated. The original inventor of the microphone that was more commercially available for music was Emil Berlin. He figured out a way to make a microphone using carbon. He, however, made the design in Thomas Edison's workshop. Edison was known to take the rights of certain inventions for himself, and the microphone was no exception. A lawsuit happened between Berlin and Edison that saw Edison as winning the rights. Eventually, more and more microphone developments were made, and they were made very frequently. In 1915, a more commercial vacuum tube microphone was made. Just 1 year later, a capacitor mic was made that allowed for even more mass-produced microphones. Then, in 1964, the electric microphone was made, essentially being a direct upgrade from the predecessor, being cheaper, better, and more reliable. Finally, the more known ribbon mic was made. That was, again, another upgrade. To show how fast these developments were made, I have two ads. One is an ad from 1934 for a condenser mic that was selling for just over $1,000 in present-day money. However, in 1947, just 13 years later, another ad showed a ribbon microphone being sold for just $470 in modern-day money. It shows how quickly microphone developments happen and how much they affected the cost and reliability of the microphones. Before we finally talk about how microphones help music, we need to briefly talk about vocal ranges. To put it simply, vocal ranges are how high or low someone can sing. There are four main ranges: baritone, tenor, alto, and soprano. Why is this important? Well, because before microphones, singers were mainly sought after for a tenor range. This was because they could project their voice more, which helped more with people hearing it without microphones. The invention of the microphone helped many new singers with higher and lower vocal ranges emerge in the scene. This included Ella Fitzgerald, Peggy Lee, and even Frank Sinatra. These singers had higher or lower than tenor ranges. This meant that their careers were almost owed to the microphone. Sinatra had a more baritone and bass range that was specifically suited and aided by microphones. This shows how, as mics were made, people began to not only hear more ranges in music, but also suit their entire voices around microphones. This meant that as time went on, without microphones, we might not have singers like Taylor Swift and Bob Dylan. This also changed where music could be played, as now music of any genre could be played anywhere, of course, as long as you had the money.